Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Perseverance Mindset Podcast. I am your founder and host, John Zadzura. Welcome to our show. We explore the art of cultivating meaningful relationships in both life and in business through a lens of common sense. Drawing from my experience in building customer and stakeholder connections, I launched this show to share insights and foster engaging conversations. Each episode features conversations with industry experts who share their inspiring journeys and valuable lessons aimed at enriching the knowledge of listeners of all ages. While there is no shortcut to long-lasting success, the keys lie in hard work, consistency, and accountability. How you leverage these principles will ultimately shape your path to achievement. Again, thank you for joining us on this journey. Again, I'm so glad that you're joining this afternoon's discussion concerning cybersecurity. We have so much information to unpack. Again, sit back, enjoy the ride, grab your coffee, grab your cellulose, whatever you choose, sit back and enjoy. Today, I am pleased to welcome back onto our show for a fourth time an esteemed cybersecurity leader to guide us through the wild world of passwords, firewalls, pesky malware attempts. He's both a gentleman and a scholar. He's my good friend, Michael Pilch. How are you, Michael? Welcome on.
Hey, John, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. I think this might be my most exciting episode as we talk about cybersecurity careers.
I think you're right, Michael. Listen, Michael, it's Tuesday afternoon. It's 1:15. Let's get going here. So, recapping from show 3, now that we have gone in depth about protecting information regarding passwords, email, phishing scams, malware downloads, and our last episode featuring QR codes and scams and what you need to know, it is now time for what I feel also will be the most important part and impactful, because it talks about having a passion for something in your life and for your career and for your job and what you do to support yourself and your family. And now, for any age, really, now, because it talks about, having that passion, again, within cybersecurity and the next steps in that journey. A person of any age we could be talking about, somebody that's starting their career out of college, somebody that wants to make a career change, and for that, let's just say I'm a person who graduated college or a person with a lot of transferable skills. Michael, what is my move?
Sean, cybersecurity is an excellent career choice for anyone, whether you're just starting out or transitioning from another role.
And that goes into our discussion, because now there's just so much to talk about. With the rise of AI and big tech, I feel more people are becoming self-aware of their career, maybe more than ever. And they want to carve out for themselves what their journey is going to look like. And people want to ultimately, I think, after the pandemic, they really want to say they enjoy what they do. Now, let's get some knowledge about how cybersecurity stats and the people going into the field. Michael, what can you explain to us about cybersecurity and employment and how people are drifting to the realm of cybersecurity?
John, there's about 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity positions in the United States. If you check the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average salary for an information security analyst is $120,000 a year salary. As
Wow.
we know and we discussed, cybercrime is growing, and the demand is only growing as well.
The demand, I'm sure, supply and demand. And again, so with that, we're talking about cybersecurity, career paths, career pathways, somebody getting into it now. What are some of the immediate open roles out there available in cybersecurity? If I was to go and scroll in Google right now, what would I would see what? What are some of the most common titles, common roles that your everyday, like entry point level positions leading up to, roles of more seniority?
Starting out, there's SOC analyst, cybersecurity analyst, security engineer, digital forensics, incident response. You could be an auditor, work with GRC, which stands for governance, risk, and compliance. You could be a pen tester, security manager, all the way up to a CISO, which stands for Chief Information Security Officer, are some examples of roles that you will find.
Okay. And with that, you just went through, you put out there a lot: cybersecurity analyst, a security engineer, digital forensics. Like there's so many pathways from what I can see here, and that's an incredible thing, and it's a great thing, especially for somebody getting out of school or just having a lot of skills, and they might have an interest in one of these areas. And I could see that there's many pathways you could take. Now, what exactly are the pathways an individual could take to start a career and learn the necessary skills, whether they're graduating from high school, or they're already working and looking for a job in cybersecurity, or they graduated college and they're looking or somebody that's been working in another industry that has transferable skills. Now, what pathways could that individual take?
John, there are two main ways to learn the skills and be recognized. Certifications is one path you could go, and education, such as a bachelor's or a master's degree, is another choice, depending on where you are in your career.
Okay. Now, you got me curious here about certifications and the college route as well. Is there a difference to the certifications or the college? Do they carry the same weight? Is one looked at a little bit less than the other, or they're basically it's about the skills? Like what would you say?
John, that is a really good question. If you compare certifications and seeking a degree and earning a degree, is both going to give you knowledge. I've done some cybersecurity certification tests, and I'll tell you, they're not easy. You will gain the knowledge either way. One of the differences, in my opinion, from my experience from when I was working towards the master's degree, compared to certifications, is that the degree is going to give you some hands-on experience that working towards the certification may not give you. So that would be one difference, I would say.
Okay, now how could a person who has the certification, say they have the certifications but not the degree, which we're seeing more and more in the labor market, you know, and not they don't have that degree. So with that, right, to get that hands-on knowledge, because you and I both know people who don't want to go into debt. Like they might be interested in the field, but they don't want to take the plunge. They don't want to accumulate just all those numbers again. And hats off to them. But there are incredibly talented people that want to get into the industry and they want to bring those skills over. What's some of your advice to those
And
folks?
John, we want to support those individuals and encourage and motivate them. There are sites out there such as Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. For example, just to name a few, an individual can get some hands-on experience in a lab environment. I would also recommend sign up for an AWS account, Azure account, use as many free resources up there that you can, build out an environment where you could use to practice sort of like, or a home lab where you could practice pen testing and hacking and building a website and protecting it. Use the tools that are out there and sort of make your own labs and earn your own experience.
Those are some great points, and there's I've been pointed in those directions as well. Like a lot of employers want to see your work. They want to see what you can do. They want to see your showcase of work, because I know Tableau is big for that as well, which is like it's a data analytics type of certification that many people get. And now, what if a person wants to practice? We talked about it, but what if a person wants to practice hacking a business? There isn't an after-school club for such activities, at least legally. But I don't think so. Maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit more.
I would recommend against it. That is hacking, and you could be charged and arrested if you're caught. Another thing, don't want to hack a business and say, "Oh, I found this vulnerability," and then tell them after hacking them.
Anyone listening to this show, please, 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 I don't condone any hacking. Do not get any ideas from this. We're just having some fun here. Our purpose is to educate and help drive professional growth. And again, totally advised against it. Now let's get back to the point here. So what are some certifications our listeners should first try and earn if they want a career in cybersecurity?
Some entry-level certifications would be the CompTIA Security Plus, as well as the ISC Squared. Certified in Cybersecurity is another one. Um, they're going to give you a good base knowledge. If you want to get into pen testing, be an ethical hacker, there's the OSCP, which stands for Offensive Security Certified Professional, and the CEH, which stands for Certified Ethical Hacker.
Now we went through a lot there. I heard ISC2, I heard OSCP, and then also LSCP, and then CEH. There's a lot to unpack there. Could you elaborate on some of the differences between the certifications when you're first starting out? A lot of folks would like to know that.
Sure. The CompTIA Security Plus and the ISC squared certified in cybersecurity. We'll just say call that the CC, and Sec Plus. Security Plus has been around a lot longer. It's more established. If you're looking to maybe get a job with a federal agency, I would recommend that because that is a minimum requirement to touch a lot of their systems. While the CC came out in, I think, is newer, 2022, and they're both designed to give you the basic entry level skill sets. Moving on to a little bit more advanced on the OSCP and CEH, they're both for ethical hackers or penetration test. And that's what you're going to learn with both of those is along the lines of penetration testing and ethical hacking.
Okay, so now why would a company use penetration tests or ethical hackers and need individuals with these certifications? Like, why are these certifications so important?
Well, a penetration test simulates a real life cyber attack on a company. Companies will be able to identify any vulnerabilities, such as missing patches, misconfigurations, and correct them before a hacker finds them. So that's to find any vulnerabilities and mitigate them before a hacker would find them.
Okay, so good, putting those skills and that knowledge into action. So I like that. I like hearing about that. Now, as our guest here on the Perseverance Mindset podcast, you are our esteemed cybersecurity guest for a 4-episode series. I know that you have some of those certifications, right, Michael?
I do. Earlier in my career, I got the Security Plus certification.
Now, are there any certifications for more experienced professionals? In anything, there's levels. There's your entry level certs, I'm guessing. There's your mid to senior level, and then there's your senior level. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. There's the CISM, which stands for Certified Information Security Manager, CISA, Certified Information Security Auditor, and the CISSP, which stands for the Certified Information System Security Professional.
And if I remember you telling me correctly, you hold the CISSP, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so and from what I've read, because I love to do my homework on everything. Now, everybody that knows me, I do my homework. From what I've read about the CISSP, is a very prestigious cybersecurity certification. You know, for all of our listeners out there for the show who are looking to obtain the CISSP, do you have advice for those individuals?
Yes. Let me share my experience. First off, you have to meet some prerequisites. You're going to need 5 years of experience in 2 of the 8 domains that are on the CISSP exam. And domains are different areas. Examples would be security and risk management, asset management, or asset security, security architecture and engineering, security assessment and testing, to name a few. 5-year experience requirement. You may be able to get a 1-year waiver if you have a certain certification such as Security Plus. And then after you pass the test, they need to validate your experience by submitting a resume, and integrity and ethics is a big part of the CISSP. So in addition to passing, you need to be endorsed by another CISSP.
Well, that definitely sounds. It definitely sounds like there's a lot to unpack. There is a process and a method to the madness and anything. So, it is this CISSP. It is not a beginner's level certification. Like have to go through. There's a process. and you have met the qualifications, requirements, and then you're able to go to that level.
Correct.
Okay. So now, since our podcast is dedicated to hearing people's stories and their successes, how do you study and prepare for the CISSP, which is such a prestigious cybersecurity certification, which in no doubt in my mind, it took effort, real effort. So how do you study, Michael, for that exam?
Well, John, there are a lot of courses and books on passing and preparing for the CISSP. I'll mention the ones I used. I read the CISP All-in-One Exam Guide by Sean Harris, the official study guide for the CISSP. I took a few different online courses. One of them was Thor Peterson and Luke Ahmed's on his website, Study Notes and Theory. I would recommend both of theirs. Another book that I read and I would highly recommend is Think Like a Manager by Luke Ahmed. That's going to put you in a different mindset to take the exam and read the questions and analyze the questions. All of my study materials, such as the books and online courses, came with practice exams. I did all of them. I also used Bosan's practice exams, and there were times I would take, say, Thor's hard questions and Luke's hard questions on practice exams. I'd get a question wrong. I thought I'd get right, and there were times I wanted to throw my computer out the window.
Well, Michael, first of all, I'm glad your computer is still with you. It's the fact that, none of your neighbors saw the computer just fly out the window and, just hit the ground and break into a billion pieces, and for everybody watching, no computers, laptops, desktops, hard drives were harmed during the entire of our episode today. I just want to make that clear. No computer, no CPU was harmed.
And I would also like to add on that, John, when you're studying, taking practice tests, don't memorize the answers. Know why a choice is correct and why a choice is incorrect.
Correct.
Understand the concepts and not just memorize an answer.
Correct. And that's so important. And just hearing that, your entire approach, Michael, and your work ethic ties right into the reason I created this show is because, you knew the path ahead. You already got to a point where you can get to this level by obtaining this certification. And it's a prestigious certification. You have to meet the qualifications. You have to have the time in. You read books in your field. You went out of your way to do the practice tests, the exams. You reference many informational texts. I'm sure, again, to hone in on your skill set, growing your scope of knowledge. It's the whole point of my show. Is just that knowing the path forward. That's going to take the work, the effort, to get to where you want to go. A true testament to doing the hard things, going the extra mile. That's what I'm talking about right here. The behind the scenes work. Everyone likes to see the end result, and they think that's what it takes. Be like, no, it takes years. It takes discipline. It takes hard work. And, behind the scenes is where the magic happens, where it works, the late nights, the early mornings, getting you to that point to obtain that certification. So again, hats off to you. That's a testament to you. And that's incredible. And how about our listeners that might be, choosing a college for cybersecurity? There's a lot of decisions you have to make when you're doing when you're making those types of decisions. What should they look for specifically?
Good question. I would say look for accreditation, make sure they're accredited, look for their reputation, cost, as well as supporting services such as like their career office. Do they have on-campus recruiting and the alumni network? Any like services that would be able to help you find your first job in your field or even later on in your career?
Exactly. And say someone has their certifications or their degree and they are looking for their first job. What advice would you give them?
John, I went through it. I know a lot of others who went through it. And I will say this, finding the first job for me was the most challenging. And I know a lot of others probably feel the same way. It seems everyone wants experience for entry level. And then you wonder, how am I going to get experience if nobody's going to give you that chance? So
Exactly.
I do want to say the good news is once you get that first job and you're able to add that experience to your resume, the sky is the limit. Don't get discouraged. For example, federal agencies are aggressively recruiting cybersecurity professionals.
And that's where you have to look right there, that you're in, again, supply and demand. You're in an area where you're going to be heavily sought. So you're going to be coming out of either high school, college, or again, transitioning transferable skills from one industry to another. And you have to understand that it's going to be challenging. But, how does someone work through that lack of experience, that deficit, that in the beginning, like you were talking, like, how does someone work through that?
Network, network, network. Reach out to others who already work in the field on LinkedIn, message them. Now, yes, not everyone will reply back. Some will, some won't. Ask for referrals from connections, family, friends. Go to cybersecurity conferences where you can meet other cybersecurity professionals. You'd be surprised at how helpful most cybersecurity professionals are. If you see a job you're interested in, you may not have all the qualifications, but if you have at least half or more, apply. Take the chance. Don't say no for the company. I've seen an awesome post recently that said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yep, absolutely. You got to take the shots. If you don't take the shot, you'll never know. Now, that's some great advice. Great advice, even
And
for me.
keep networking. Networking should not stop, even when you get the first job. It should be continuous.
Again,
Relationships.
exactly. Building relationships, building that business, that branding, your brand, and how you work and how people know you. It all ties back. And that's some really good advice. And again, it's something I live by myself. It's just like building those relationships, getting those networks. Because again, you don't know where you're going to be 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And the connections matter. I'll say that every time somebody asks me, what do you recommend from starting any new job, anywhere, any industry? Network, network, network. Great, great advice, Michael. Applies to any career or field. Now, this is something Michael's unaware of this. This is something I wanted to do, on the air live. We are live again Tuesday afternoon. No, Michael, we've gotten such good feedback on how you're helping our listeners to learn and to grow and to adapt and to guide them, And you've been a personal friend of mine for many, many years, and our listeners have a question for you, Michael.
Sure.
The Perseverance Mindset podcast wants Michael Pilch as our all things cybersecurity contributor. Our listeners and subscribers, they don't want you leaving us, Michael. They don't want to never hear from you again, watching videos years from now, be like, I wish he would still appear on the show. Now, will you agree here and now that you will keep us updated on current events and cybersecurity and current event topics in that realm on our show?
Heck yeah.
All right, you heard it here, folks. I put the question out there, and he accepted on the spot. And if we can work out everything, we're gonna make a deal. But anyway, folks, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Again, talking more about career and driving your pathway and finding your purpose. Really, if the realm of cybersecurity is for you in that industry, we hope you enjoyed the conversation and had some valuable takeaways, which we both know you did. Please consider subscribing and leaving a comment below. Again, as always, Michael, we're going to be seeing you. You're not going anywhere. Everybody else, don't run. Don't run away. Michael's not leaving us. So, and if you really like the show and the content, you can please consider subscribing to the Perseverance Mindset podcast. Leave us a comment below for suggestions and feedback. Have a great afternoon and evening, everyone. Michael, thanks for coming again.